Credit cards are marketed as tools of convenience, freedom, and financial empowerment. But behind the polished commercials and enticing reward programs lies a system designed not to benefit the consumer, but to trap them. At first glance, credit cards appear to offer access to a better life. The ability to buy now and pay later to earn points for travel, cashback, or merchandise, and to build a good credit score simply by using them responsibly. But the dark truth is that the very structure of credit card debt, interest, and repayment is engineered to keep people spending, borrowing, and ultimately paying far more than they ever expected. Most people don't realize how the system works until it's too late. Interest rates on credit cards are notoriously high, often ranging from 15% to 30%, far above the rates on most other types of loans. These high interest rates are not just incidental, they the foundation of the credit card industry's profit model. When someone carries a balance, they're charged interest not just on the principal, but in many cases on the interest that was previously added, leading to a snowball effect of debt accumulation. Even a modest balance can balloon into a massive obligation over time. And while many consumers assume that making the minimum payment keeps them in good standing, what they don't realize is that doing so extends the life of their debt dramatically, often for years or even decades, while maximizing the amount of interest the credit card company can extract from them. It's a calculated trap, and one that millions fall into every year. Behind the scenes, credit card companies use psychological manipulation to keep consumers spending. From the layout of statements that obscure how much interest is being paid, to the strategic placement of minimum payment due in bold print to discourage paying more, to targeted marketing that encourages consumers to treat themselves or deserve a luxury, it's all designed to exploit human psychology. Credit cards disconnect the act of spending from the feeling of loss. When you pay cash, you feel the pain of handing over money. But with a credit card, that pain is delayed or even erased. This psychological distance makes it easier to spend impulsively and beyond one's means. Credit card companies know this. In fact, studies have shown that people spend significantly more when using credit versus cash. It's no accident that this behavior benefits the companies issuing the cards. They rely on it. They depend on it. They want people to revolve their balance, to carry debt, and to become long-term interest-paying customers. But there's more. Credit cards often come with hidden fees, obscure terms, and complex contracts that most people never fully read or understand. There are late fees, over-limit fees, balance transfer fees, foreign transaction fees, and cash advance fees, many of which can be triggered with a single oversight. And once a consumer is hit with a fee or penalty, it can affect their credit score, which in turn leads to higher interest rates not just on the credit card itself, but potentially on future loans, mortgages, and other financial products. It's a vicious cycle. One missed payment can trigger a cascade of consequences that can take years to recover from. The credit card industry knows this, and it profits immensely from it. Then there's the issue of credit scores themselves, which are largely shaped by credit card behavior. Your credit utilization ratio, how much of your available credit you're using, is a major factor. So the system encourages you to have credit cards, but not use too much of them. It rewards those who can play the game just right, using cards often enough to show activity, but not so much that they look risky. But for people who live in paycheck to paycheck, or who face an unexpected expense, it's almost impossible to maintain a low balance. They end up using most of their credit limit just to survive, which tanks their credit score and makes borrowing more expensive in the future. It's a system that punishes the poor and rewards the rich. Those who can pay their balances in full every month get the perks, rewards, points, travel miles, while those who can afford to do so end up paying for those rewards through interest and fees. That's right? The perks that frequent flyers and luxury cardholders enjoy are often subsidized by the interest payments of those struggling to make ends meet. It's a redistribution of wealth, but in the wrong direction, from the poor to the rich, and the banks love it. Credit card companies also have enormous lobbying power. They spend millions to influence legislation and protect their interests. Laws that might cap interest rates, limit fees, or require clearer disclosures often get watered down or blocked entirely. In many countries, especially in the US, the government has failed to regulate the industry in any meaningful way. What's worse, financial literacy is almost non-existent in public education. Most people are handed credit card applications in college or even high school without any real understanding of how compound interest works, how minimum payments trap them, or how late payments can destroy their credit for years. It's not just the lack of education ensures a steady supply of uninformed consumers who make mistakes that cost them dearly and profit the banks. The media and influencers don't help either. Social media is filled with financial gurus, encouraging people to use credit cards for everything, to chase rewards, to churn cards for sign-up bonuses, without fully explaining the risks. And while these strategies might work for a small group of highly disciplined users, they're dangerous for the average consumer. It's like handing a loaded weapon to someone who's never fired a gun. The glamorization of credit card hacking and point chasing ignores the fact that most people don't have the financial stability or discipline to pull it off safely. They end up chasing points and falling into debt. And then there's the impact on mental health. The stress of credit card debt can be crushing. People lose sleep, experience anxiety, depression, and even relationship problems as a result of financial strain. The burden of compounding debt weighs heavily, especially when it feels like there's no way out. Collection calls, letters, and the fear of legal action only make it worse. It's a silent epidemic, one that few people talk about openly, yet millions suffer through. Bankruptcy, once seen as a last resort, has become a necessary escape route for many, but it carries its own long-term consequences, and still, the machine grinds on. Credit card companies continue to send out offers, raise limits, and entice consumers with shiny benefits, all while knowing that a significant percentage of users will fall into the debt trap. They run risk models to calculate exactly how much debt they can encourage without triggering widespread default. It's not an accident. It's by design. The system doesn't care about individual lives, only about profitability. Even during economic downturns, when job losses and medical bills spike, credit card companies tighten their grip. They reduce limits, raise interest rates, and pursue collections aggressively. They know that desperate people are more likely to agree to unfair terms, to take out even more credit just to stay afloat. It's a predatory cycle. And while regulators occasionally step in with rules or protections, they are often too little, too late. The reality is that credit cards are not tools of freedom, they're instruments of control. They keep people tethered to the financial system, always owing, always paying, always behind. They make the illusion of prosperity possible while draining the very resources people need to truly get ahead. They're not just pieces of plastics, they're shackles. And perhaps the darkest truth of all is that most people don't even see the chains. They're so normalized in society, so ingrained in everyday life, that it's hard to imagine living without them. They're accepted, expected, even necessary in many situations, from renting a car to booking a hotel, to building credit for a home loan. The system is set up to make them unavoidable, and by the time someone realizes the cost, it's often far too late. Escaping the trap requires not just discipline, but awareness, education, and often a complete shift in mindset. It means rejecting the culture of consumption, questioning the value of rewards, and recognizing the emotional manipulation at play. It means understanding that financial freedom doesn't come from borrowing at 20%. Interest to earn 1% back in points. It comes from living below your means, saving consistently, and staying out of debt entirely whenever possible. It means teaching our children what we were never taught. It means seeing credit cards not as tools of empowerment, but as potential weapons of financial destruction. The dark truth about credit cards is not just that they can ruin your finances, it is that they are built to do exactly that.